We recording? Yes, that's it. Now we can start doing the proper stuff. Hi, welcome to Crafty Crows by Gloucestershire Poetry Society with your host, myself. Jason is amazing tech. If you need anything from Jason, talk to him in the chat. Welcome, welcome. What day is it? Wednesday? Thursday? Is it Wednesday? Been a long week. Anyway, tonight we've got an amazing headliner. That's Kate Noakes. And just before we get going with all the open micers, just a little bit of housekeeping for you. Could you please, because there's so many of you, please could you mute yourself? But when the person's read and you've all clapped, you can obviously take yourself off mute and give everybody a round of applause. You can also use the react button to send loads of love into the room. And please feel free to use the chat to give feedback and say what you liked about people's poetry. That's always really nice to receive. So encourage that thoroughly. This event's being recorded, so please only share poems that you're happy to be classed as published. Open mic poets, please keep your 3 minutes. And if we have any extra space at the end, we'll let you know, and you can always come back on and read another one. Please use the chat to share your bios, books and events, put whatever you need it to in there. And Gloucester Poetry Society is a volunteer-led society, and if you can spare a donation, please do. Jason will put a link in the chat. There you go. You'll also be able to see the running order. Jason's putting that in the chat. If you've got any questions about that, or if you're not reading and you want to, send me a message and we'll be able to slot you in somewhere, hopefully. Okay. So let's get started. What's next? Oh, it's me. I better kick things off. I think you might have potentially heard this one before, but because it's in my new book, which is out on Friday, it's called The Midlife Lesbian. In fact, it's so fresh, I don't have a copy of it yet. This is the front cover. Oh, there you go. Picture of a midlife lesbian on there. I've seen Diva magazine. Okay, so this one is now actually being published in that book. So it goes something like this. It's called Unexpected Embrace. Screech of laughter, arms are swinging. She goes flying through the air, captured by mounds of pillows and yet still quite debonair. She lays basking in hysterics so much she didn't see a body flying towards her, and that somebody was me. A rogue boob in the eyeball, an armpit in her face. The snorting makes me weaker, fall into unexpected embrace. Arms frantically flap left and right like seals escaping captivity. Oh God, I'm gonna piss myself, she jokes as we laugh uncontrollably. We both scramble to the surface, but once again we miss and fall back into each other. So we move in for a kiss. Thank you. Right, let's get cracking. We have a lot of people here today and can't wait to hear all of you reading. And the first one to kick us all off is Jude. Hi, Jude.
Hi, Emma. Good one. I enjoyed that. And yeah, I'm surprised to be first because I signed up at the very last minute this month. But always ready. I've actually got something fairly new also to read, so I don't have to worry that you've heard it before, which is what I usually think. This one is called Of Stars and Ships and Seal Accounts. Some say that the stars we see with our naked eyes, because they are so far away, are almost certainly already dead when their light reaches us. This is cool to think about if you like history or contemplating your mortality, or if you're a poet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In truth, though, the stars we see without a telescope are in the Milky Way, which is only about 4,000 light years away, and those stars do not die with frequency, and we city dwellers rarely see them anyway. But what's cool is that starlight can be seen underwater, which means that sea creatures also have stars in their lives, their nights connecting them to the depths of space and time, the possibility of light, although the deeper they are in the ocean, the farther they are from that possibility. Coelacanths live far enough down that, as you likely know, they were long thought to be extinct. This is what we mean when we say out of sight, out of mind. At their depth of around 1,000 feet, the light is dim, like a flashlight when the battery is dying, or a star-shaped nightlight in a baby's room. But coelacanths are low energy. They crave gloom. They favor canyons and caves and rocks known to the snagged fish line of their ancestors for 400 million years. They walk with their fins. They know what they know. $400 million or euros or pounds is an unimaginable amount, although much less than $1 billion. The rich white men who went down with the Titanic would many of them be billionaires if they lived now. The ship that defines them, the parts not eaten by sea creatures or worn to sand, lie in darkness on the ocean bed at 12,500 feet, an unimaginable depth. No starlight, only the scattered facets of a chandelier. And I think we are connected to this wreck by the anchor chain of human history. We may know ourselves by what we take, by who we leave behind, by whose names we record.
Thank you, Jude. What a way to start. Thanks so much. Has Michael arrived yet? Is Michael in the room?
Not yet, no. So if you want to move on to the next.
Okay, so Pratibha, if I pronounce that right or not, sorry.
Hi, it's
Hi.
it's Fokkina.
Pratibha. Thanks.
Hello, thank you.
Hi.
I'm going to read 3 very short poems that are from my forthcoming third pamphlet coming out with Black Cat Poetry Press early next year. Okay. Loving. A convention of china dolls on a shelf beside the window, heartless as Delft, neat feet bound in black bombazine, poking out beneath satin strict skirts, thoughts tight-lipped behind pink-pout smirks. Corpsed eyes promised little of warmth, though a child, frowning over fractions under Sister Brendan's codfish glare, might ache to gussy tresses, chestnut, Arctic gold, licorice gloss curls, to cosset, covet, coil about a mayfly finger, dream of ice tulip cheeks, lace-edged pantaloons, frothy petticoats, of cradling chilly porcelain into her chest, contrite enough to birth a purple bloom, hopeful to blush chalky skin, for crockery eyes to weep cherry blossom petals. Conscience, as taught her by the nuns, was a bridle on a young girl's tongue, pony frolic legs, a chokehold on convolvulus excess, seductive as leaves skittering over moon-scatter grass, dandelion pappus weighted with girlish longings, a burr hooked onto the undercarriage of a rook in flight that, breaking free, nuzzles into earth's amorous embrace, wooed by rhapsodies of immoral worms, nurtured by clouds, lavish as a toddler's sulk, blasé gaze of wolf or supermoon, till a blackbird at spring's edge pipes their tarantella, stirs the first tousle-headed Dont de Leon, sun-gold tongues ravishing a winter-drowsy bee. And finally, no room at the inn. Coronation year, way-faced off Dunleary ferry, souls worn thin and spirits, signs on netted glass, no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. 12 years pass, December dusk, you and Mammy gussied up the sound of music. By the tube in Leicester Square, a man rummaging through rubbish. Bramble beard, a fuzz of hair, rope knotted round his middle. Brogue her mammy swore was County Clare. Mrs. Will yez ever spare a shillin'? You turn away, affect the vacant posturing of shop front dummies. Mammy grabs your pack of gulwas, hands them to himself. God bless you, sir. Her head inclined, the way she'd greet the bishop. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much. And when did you say that collection was out? Pamphlet?
Early next year.
Early next year. Black Cat Press.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Can't wait to read that. Yeah. Keep in touch with us and let us know where we can get that.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. So next up, we've had a slight change of program. You can see in the chat there, just to fill to fit some more people in. So the next up is Fokkina.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm in the Netherlands, an hour ahead of you. So I'll read an ekphrastic poem. It's called Landscape with a Footbridge, after the painting by Ruysdael. A rickety wooden structure, this footbridge. No wonder the horses are doubtful. The one supporting a nobleman, large black hat, prances, if that is the right word. His companion stands facing our way. He isn't paid to think. His fiery red robe is a highlight in the painting, the noble trees spreading roots of romanticized countryside. Half hidden, a man may be fishing. All three are 400 years away from you. Now, they'd be wearing pullovers and waders. The nobleman would have parked the SUV, relied on GPS. But they too would have been stopped by the sight of the narrow footbridge, the loose planks, the drop at least 4 meters, the water too shallow. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Richard. We're in the room. We squeezed you in, Richard. Where are you? There you are in the bottom. Oh, look at that. Look at the background. Galaxy background. We know where you are. Enjoy.
How are you all today? It's an honor to be with you. I have a little fable for you. It's called The Boy with the Giant Fork. Pick up this fork. Why, it's the size of a tree. You might lift it up with the help of some friends, maybe 1, 2, or 3. To dig with this sucker is a real operation. If it keeps growing like this, it might take a whole nation. He knew right away this fork was getting too big. Why, if you crowded him on it, you could fit a whole flock of pigs. He wasn't sure anymore why he wished for a big fork. Besides, when he came with it clanging down for dinner, this ginormous fork was unwieldy. It didn't make him feel like a winner. When he tried to use it, the peas rattled right off the end of this gigantic fork, and when swinging it around, he near jabbed his old friend Mork. Then there's the time it nearly knocked down the chandelier. It knocked over the designer recliner, upside down, its 3 wheels spinning free in the air. Why, it knocked over his soup. It flicked that roast chicken, knocked the whole thing over till it rolled and rolled all the way back to the kitchen. The fork team spun it around before he was ready. It knocked over the sauce all over the table, a big old mess with the gravy. And then the tines got all tangled in the bun of blue-haired Aunt Maisie. Tommy always thought her proportions were quite lean, but if he had a bigger digger fork with a highly polished handle, the tines razor sharp and keen, maybe he could scoop it all up into mountainous heaps Pile it higher and higher and sauce it over quite deep. Then, my friend, maybe then he'd get enough. His fuzzy puppy looked on, shrugged, turned away, and just coughed. One night, he went out back to wish on a star. And if the sky wasn't too polluted, he'd know right where they are. He hopped down off the porch and ran out in the yard. It wasn't too tough. It wasn't too hard, as long as he made it over those thorny rose bushes, because sometimes they tore his cuffs or stabbed him right in the tuchus. Then, all of a sudden, an arcing glare from over the factory roof headed right down where he was. He was so stunned he stood there and stared. He called out to his brother. "Hey, come here," he called Sid. Sid didn't answer. He almost never did. He was exactly not that kind of kid. He was watching TV back in his room. He'd spin the dial in the dark. You couldn't hardly see in that gloom. He was like a mushroom. His face had the glow of that little TV. He was quiet as a ghost. Sid in the dark. Sid was not much of a host, you see. It might surprise you, but it don't surprise me. I knew Sid was proud of his little black and white TV. He rarely left his room. That was his world, don't you see? It was his way of participating. He never played games with no friends, boys or girls. His entire imagination was caught up in that box. He didn't hunt tigers. He'd never even seen a fox. I'll stop right there. Thank you all so much. Part 1 of The Boy with the Giant Fork.
Thanks, Richard. We're all looking forward to part 2 with The Boy with the Giant Fork. So hopefully you'll come back on our next one and share that with us. Fab. Right, next up, Simon.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to read 2 short British poems from my book. We put in a headlock, so you can't really see that because of the old. But yeah, this book is kind of about loss. So these 2 poems. The first one is a love story in post-it notes. You left a note on the fridge door, said it's not working. But I opened the fridge and the light came on, so I ate a yogurt. I thought, where have you gone? I'm checking all the doors in our house. You're not in any of the rooms. I stick a note on each door, things like, I'm sorry, where are you? We're out of milk again. And then this next one is a kind of cautionary love tale. You know, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy finds out all of his life savings have been stolen. So this is called Skim My Heart. An American soldier inside a Russian doll inside a Nigerian prince stationed overseas is ready to take our relationship to the next level. Bank details, please. High definition, caller waiting. Would you take my name, my father's name, if I gave you my mother's maiden name? I want to know everything about you, the street you grew up in, the last 3 digits on the back of your card. I've never felt so close to someone, never felt this way before. Even if you've stopped answering my messages, even if the fraud squad are trying to poison me against you. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. I think post-it notes are a great way of communicating with your housemates or friends or lover. In nice ones or not nice ones. You didn't put the toilet seat down. I don't know, don't forget to close the window. Various things like that. But they could also make poems out of post-it notes too, which was a fun thing to do with friends. Anyway, yeah, so Lucia up next.
Yes, I'm here. The Thoughts of a Dead Lover by Lucia Daramus. My soul is like a flickering star in the nest of a womb in the sky. My heart is like a fist of sand whose shadow images your footprint. I thought you loved me. I thought you loved me. Your sun is going down in your mind, a mind of passion flower in the gate of your heart. Oh, my sweet, sweet, dearest love, my blood is beating in my veins, blooming as a vivid rose on my cheek, breaking my cells in purple and red life grains. You, my love, are carrying my seeds, in your grateful womb, fragile yellow daffodil under the wandering sky, wavering, frail twig of rosemary in the soil. Oh, my dearest, oh, your face is coming in my dream. I can't forget the lockets of your hair, saying you in my divine dream. My mind became only eyes, and my eyes only my mind. We are drops of the same ocean. Love doesn't meet somewhere. Love is inside us. Yes, inside our baby's heart. A heart like white, delicate dove feathers. A smile, yes, a smile and kindness inside flying around us like a smell of perfume, your perfume. But now, my dearest love, I am away. The stars are my friends. The planets, yes, the planets, are talking with me, because now I am a shadow of the universe. When it is cold and snowing, I am gathering at my heart our peaceful past life, in secret, in the inner secret. Become closer to your lips, your lips. Do you feel the breeze of my breath? I am nowhere and everywhere, because I am your lover in your heart. You are alive, but me, surrounding you like a crane on a tree. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Nicholas, are you here?
Yes, hello. This poem's called Liposuction. I was coming back from London on a bus, and the woman in the seat behind fainted, and her skin turned the colour of porridge. And then her daughters started to hit her to revive her because they thought she died. And then the bus pulled over. And what had happened was she'd gone to London for a liposuction operation because she was getting married and she wanted to lose weight. And once people found this out, their sympathy turned to anger. Liposuction. It was not the best plan to convalesce on the cheap coach home. The hole in her side weeping, lymphatic blood marble. Her girth liquefied for the wedding and her millionaire gown. Paramedics have taped and revived her, stemmed the flow of love handle syruping on the seat. An hour on the hard shoulder, and pity has worn thin for the fat of our flushing bride. There are whispers of compensation and lost connections. Led down the aisle to a blue-lit recessional by grooms in morning suits of green. No fond smiles here from under millinery. They see the soaked side of her sacrifice, the limp bag of her body, the wings of bingo folded over the flowers of her dress. Thank you.
There was a few smirks in that, Nicholas. We enjoyed that. We've got Beth Brooke up next.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. I have 3 poems. They are extremely short. Here is the first. It is about my grandson. It's called Second Spring. The first spring is a gradual uncurling, a coming to terms with life outside the womb. He knows the comfort of his mother's milk, the softness of her voice as she gathers him to her. He does not know how the world turns, or what snowdrops are, how they thrust through winter, promise spring. But he knows the beat of his father's heart, the voice that soothes him into sleep. These things are enough. He grows into his second spring, stands, small, curious. He knows there is an outside, an inside, things familiar, things strange. He reaches up to curl his arms around his father's legs, makes them his vantage, knows they will keep him balanced, steady. And this one, which was published in Sarasas a few years ago, it's called Taken by Owls. In the evening, the owls came for me. I did not hear them, so quiet was the motion of their wings in the fading light. Talons gripped me, and we flew, night thickening around us, until the stars began to prickle in the sky, enough to light the way. Wings sliced the darkness with silent precision, carried me to ruined barns in distant valleys where wheat blackened in the fields and poppies drooped, their syrup sweet upon the tongue and ripe as dreaming. And the last one is called Vase, and I just found it in my, those folders you have this morning. The vase stands on the hall table. Cracked, water seeps out in cool rivulets that trace a path down the glazed exterior. Rich green, blue, cloud swirl white. This is the only vase in the house, but the flowers in the garden are so beautiful that each of us cuts a stem, fills the vase with blood-red peonies, irises the colour of midnight, roses like the blush of evening sun. Flowers in a cracked vase, a burst of reckless beauty. Thank you.
See a lot of love in the room for those poems. Thank you so much, Beth. We have got one more open micer before we go straight into our lovely headliner, Kate, and that's Becca Rocker.
Oh, hello, slightly unexpected. Hi, it's Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week this week. So I'm going to read a couple of poems about my early motherhood experience during lockdown. The first one's called What Did You Make? Inspired by that question where people said, what did you make during lockdown? So here we go. Others made sourdough and banana bread, but not me. I made skin and bone, eyes and teeth. And when the world shut down, I made my peace with lonely lullabies. I made light of phrases like, it takes a village. I made apologies through conservatory windows. I made friends with pixels and glass. I made excuses for not enjoying every minute. I made milk and memories into the longest, blackest nights. I made sure he was alive, and he made me complete. And then this one is inspired by Elvis's song, Can't Help Falling in Love. Sometimes it doesn't come easily. No tripping and landing. No split-second tumble into mothering, just a steady crawl beyond the ward, lugging shell-shocked bodies down risk-assessed streets toward a mountain of restless responsibility. I summited eventually, but I certainly didn't fall. I climbed. Yes, I climbed in love with you, and the view was totally worth it. And then I've got one more, if I've got time, a Trigger warning for this, content warning, suggestions of sexual assault. Okay. It's called We Educate Our Girls. I wonder about the opportunity cost of all those hours spent on Pythagoras and simultaneous equations. My maths teacher never showed me how to write an invoice or file a tax return. I have my mother to thank for that. I would have liked lessons on the net worth of speaking my mind or trusting my instincts or starting an email without an apology. My form tutor warned me that pregnancy is the worst thing that can happen to a girl like me. They handed us condoms and carrots in same-sex groups, told us to close our eyes because you'll be doing it in the dark. My friend's boyfriend took explicit photos of her at a house party. There was no condom and the lights were on. At lunchtime, a boy I thought was my friend showed me porn on his new flip phone. I know how to say no in a bunch of different languages, but never with my chest. My mum wishes she'd been pushed more at school, given a desk in her room like the firstborn son. The world belonged to boys back then, and clever girls got left behind or found a way to climb. At least things have changed.
Thanks, Becca. Have you been to Crafty Crows before? Is this new?
Once, like 2 years ago, I think. So yeah.
Oh, welcome
But, yeah,
back.
this
Hope
is
to
new.
see you
Thank
again.
you.
Okay, great. Right. Straight on to Kate Noakes. So do you mind if I do your little intro?
Go ahead.
So Kate lives in Bristol, has a PhD in contemporary British and American poetry from the University of Reading. Her new book arising from this work is called Sublime Lungs, and that was published by Two Rivers Press in 2026. Can you put a link in the chat at some point, Kate, so we can buy that? Thank you. You've got 8 published collections, Kate. Amazing. Your work's also appeared in Candlestick Press, Poetry Wales, Poetry Island Review, Ink, Sweat and Tears, Magma, Dyslexia, and lots more. So we all can't wait to hear you read. So enough about me, more about you. Let's all enjoy.
Thank you very much. Oh, first of all, thank you so much for coming. And great to hear all those lovely poems, such variety of things. Thank you. So I'm going to read from my new book, Sublime Lungs, which, as Emma just said, was published by Two Rivers Press only 2 weeks ago. So it's really hot in the hands, hot off the press. So I'm just going to read and then I'll explain. The countless times you've saved me, thankfully. When I turn into a weird landfish, drowning in my own air, you skip me to the head of the queue, nebulize first, questions later. As the drugs start their gas magic in my lungs, I can speak without gasping like a round-mouthed carp. You ask what it was this time. Perhaps the woman next to me at Sunday lunch had been out riding. Clue, she might have been wearing jodhpurs. Breathe now. Breathe. Maybe I unwittingly visited a new place with invisible traces of cat. Note to self. Remember to inquire. Breathe deeply now. Breathe. I've not crossed the Sahara lately, so put it down to any one of pollen generally and everywhere, house dust mites, grass cuttings, pollution. There's enough of that these days. Keep breathing now, deeply. Breathe. Well, that's the first poem in the collection, and I wrote it for an anthology of poems to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the NHS, which was published in 2018. So that a long time ago that first poem came, and it set me off on a project to think about how I could write about my asthma, which I hadn't really written about before in any detail. How could you convey what it's like to suffer from asthma for people who don't. And so breath and breathing topics are obviously great for poetry. So it seemed like a nice project to do. So that's what this book is really all about. Asthma is dressed stone, rasping. Every day she rolls away her wardrobe doors and stands before them, the stone dresses, listening for the one singing the loudest, me. Some days, flint clinks a nap song. Sometimes granite hums a 3-part crystal. Sandstone choruses itself back to the beach, an hourglass broken on the striped carpet. One special day, a whole chalk downland hymned her a dusty covering. Monthly, mudstone gurgles and boils to help her navigate the tide. Warmer than marble, the stone dresses, and changeable by the drugs of fire and ice. Nothing can split them, not hammer, not chisel. As you can imagine, I was quite ill as a child. There was effective treatment for asthma. We had inhalers, there was salbutamol and steroids. But often asthma is not very easily diagnosed and probably a bit undertreated. So my childhood nightmare is this true one. The living death, a childhood nightmare. Snow White is laid out in her glass coffin in a technicolor wood, to all intents, dead. But this time, there's no attendants bringing wreaths or strewing her with cut stems. She's alone in a grey ward, sealed in a tube that exerts itself on her chest. The only sounds are the thump of the metal pump and the rushing in and out of air. Immobile, she's condemned to forced breath. This living death iron lung no handsome prince can rouse her from. In the mirror above, the world's a reflection of itself, a reality she can't control any more than her lungs. If only she'd eaten the sugar cube, not the apple. It wouldn't have made her smaller, but might have saved the pain, this evil incapacity. My parents moved house a few years ago, and I inherited from my father 10 or 12 volumes of what looked like an encyclopedia, but actually turned out to be an illustrated children's dictionary. And it was always quite fascinating to look at old books and see what was considered appropriate for children nearly 100 years ago. So this, reading my father's dictionary of 1932, where of course I looked up the word lungs. Quote, a Londoner takes a walk in one of the many parks and gardens lying around when he wants to get fresh air. And that is why these are often spoken of as the lungs of London. Which is odd, because though some have, I've never heard anyone, man or woman, say lungs of London. Green lungs, yes, but not city specific. And the notion of parks lying around as if they have nothing better to do makes me smile. As does the inclusion for children of lunette, the opening of a guillotine for the neck of the person to be executed, or master of lunacy who presides over a court assembled to inquire into cases of insanity. And you might be surprised to learn that in Rome, people may be seen sitting about in the sun, shelling and eating lupines. Not that I've ever seen such, nor, I imagine, would most readers of this learned tome. I hope you were lucky enough to have fun uncle or aunt when you were a child. I think everyone needs one to counteract their parents. So this is Everyone Needs an Uncle Victor. Because when you're 5, and fed up with panning for gold in the disused workings, day licenses for weekenders and tourists, he will throw his wedding ring into the mix of small stones and pyrites and shout, "Eureka!" Because when you're 6 and have broken your arm in a melee of party games, he will be the only adult sober enough to drive you to hospital in the baking leather of his car, stopping first for the world's largest bag of sweets for the shock. Because when you're 7, walking the dried edge of a lake, poking at hexagonal clods, prizing them as treasure, he will point to skitterings across the mud and tell you the difference between skippers and lungfish, how they move, how they breathe. Glass lungs. In a world so hushed, let these be my summer lungs. Light, 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 always letting in the light. Add the music of lark song and midnight's blackbird, and if I thought we could find them, the tones of nightingales. Keep out the discordant notes of winter and all its discontented pheasants and wood pigeons. Fill them not with ground glass opacity and its hazy oozings of dis-ease. Let them be transparent flutes, blown by gentle lips in a kiss of sound. Light, 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 always light. I'm going to take you to Ham House now. I don't know if you've visited Ham. It's obviously near Richmond in southwest London, and a beautiful 17th century house in the Dutch style. I think it's owned by the National Trust. It has a lovely garden. Anyway, Ham House, witchcraft. At my feet in the kitchen garden, jackdaws are after the crumbs my predecessor on the bench has dropped on the gravel. 6 of them at one point, from the flock moving between the bare oaks and new dug plots, back and forth and again. I am still, watching restful, taking my breather. A goth and her girls are never parted, says my daughter, bringing me mint tea and scattering the birds. Later, a crow with white feathers fringing its wings makes 2 passes, while I read of medicinal plants used in the 17th century. Tansy for fevers and sores, wormwood for nausea and loss of appetite. There are quite a few poems here about yoga and breathing and meditation and breathing, as you might expect. It's an interesting topic, but this one's a bit of fun. This is called Man Looking. I should have listened to the rain on the roof of the garden room. If I had, I'd have heard its tune change from tinny notes to drumming stair rods, frightening man and dog from their nap. But I was away, noise cancelled, listening to the gentle inflow and outflow of my breath, and thinking of nothing more than that. It's taken me years to reach this place of safety, and I don't go there often enough. Never shock someone back to the world. It's a cruelty too far. Even if water is pouring through the glass panes, even if she is getting wet. Okay, perhaps if she is getting wet, but not because you can't see the bucket always under the sink. Inhale, hold, exhale, snatches. A spacer is a plastic chamber, is a mouth organ, to remind myself what a wheeze sounds like when played backwards. My doctor says I should be a demonstrator, but I wasn't looking for a job on Oxford Street. And as for sport, we suggest swimming. Breaststroke was as much pride as my chest could puff to. For music, we recommend a woodwind instrument. No girl may play the flute, oboe, clarinet, or bassoon without first and also learning the piano. The mask fogs my view. You are there in a smirk, snapping me and sharing me with the world. Nothing I can do to stop you. I have no breath to speak, no energy to snatch your camera away, so I turn my cheek. Did you see the tears behind my plastic veil? It's like a closing fist, a force that expels air's death mask from my mouth. Enough deep lung plunge, enough sore cough. It's gone on too long. Enough. I write a lot of poems from art, looking at paintings and sculpture and so on. Not that you would really know them, because hopefully not that you really know that I've done that, because hopefully I detached them sufficiently from their moorings. This is one, and its title comes from King Lear, Rage, Blow. When you are told that for your next incarnation you must be a wind, you are as breathless as an unfurled sail, until you consider the possibilities, the power being placed, the trust. Many to choose from every direction and terrain, the strong, weak, the havoc-wreaking, the benign. You decide against obscure mythology, one of three loosed from a Hawaiian gourd, too much of a crowd, and plump for the individual, closer to home, European. The Mistral has the kind of violence that chimes, blasting the cold air of winter into every spring, desiccating all before it. Yes, you can be godlike in that way, bending mortals to your desires. They have to plant cypress trees as protection from you and build their houses facing south with windowless back walls. Something of an insult. But at least you don't have to look at them. A pity, as they mostly want to thank you for the rush, clearing air of dust, for the clear blue of your buffeting skies, for the luminous sunlight you swirl onto so many canvases and into such daydreams. Thank you, says Vincent. Thank you, says Paul and Henri and Pablo. Another poem, two-part poem, partly about art. It's called Hair's Breadth, H-A-I-R, but we play with that one. The child watches a pair of hares chase around the paddock by the holiday cottage. Rime has whitened grass and gorse in every field from there to the edge of the winter sea. The hares breathe like dragons in the ice blue air. They disappear as the window steams up and indoor rain runs onto the sill. Waking her parents, she brings news. There are huge rabbits in Wales. 2. Hunched on a cold kitchen floor, the field hare quivers, each hair of its fur distinct and on end. Its body casts a small shadow, ears at a quizzical angle, its eyes are fixed, yet reflect a window. It's 1502, and Albrecht is painting his supper, one frightened breath at a time. So now your 2-poem warning, just 2 more. And another kind of found poem, which is entirely found. All I've done is give it a title, but I do want to tell you where it comes from because it's just the most extraordinary title for a book. And it's this. It's from Malcolm Fleming, MD's Adhesions and Accretions of the Lungs to the Pleura and their effects on respiration, considered both with respect to theory and practice in a letter to Dr. George Baker, Fellow of the Royal College of Physicians in London and FRS, 2nd edition, London, Beckett and de Hont, 1763. Truly, that is the title. Dr. Fleming's letter. We took notice above that women use the diaphragm in respiration less than men. This is a most wise provision of nature, as it enables them during pregnancy, especially in the last months, to breathe commodiously, though the diaphragm then can scarce act at all, being so strongly pressed upwards by the distended uterus. It would therefore appear highly probable that accretions of the lungs to the pleura are attended with much less inconveniency in the female than the male sex. So now you know. Before I read the last one, let me just say thank you so much for having me. I hope you've enjoyed this. Sublime Lungs, available now. I'll put a link in the chat. I hope you'll get a copy and enjoy reading the rest of it. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Emma. And thank you all for listening. So it's the last poem in the book. It's called Taxidermy. She arranges all the bones of the creature's skeleton, the hip bone connected to the thigh bone, etc., even down to the tiniest bones of toe and ear. Bones are words, her stock in trade. Her favourites are cranium and metatarsal. Selection is one thing. Writing bones into a body of work takes breath, deep, careful, considered breath. And that has need of lungs, daring and strong. So far, so good. Then someone is reading what she has written. Someone is thus breathing. It takes 2 to dance her work into life. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Kate. Wonderful poems. Jason, can we take everybody's doodah off? That's it. So we all give Kate a big clap and lots of love, please. That was amazing. Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
set. Thank you, Kate.
I didn't mean doodah, I meant the microphone.
Well done. It's lovely.
Yeah, unmute yourself. You do a louder. Thank you so much, Kate.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening.
And thanks to all the open micers in the first half. We're going to have a short break. We're going to come back about 8:05. So go and have a cup of tea, a wee, a vape, and whatever else you need to do. And we'll see you then. So I'll say it again. Welcome back. Hopefully you're all back with us. There's some people still not in the room, but that's okay. Keep your camera off if you wish. That's up to you. Thanks for the first half. Thank you to Kate. Thank you to all the open micers who took part in the first thing. Oh, someone's in the chat. Who's in the chat? Okay. So if you look in the chat, you'll be able to see the second half running order. See if you can find your name there. I'll hopefully pronounce it right. If I don't, I'm really sorry. So just a few announcements before we get going. So the next Crafty Crows is the 3rd of June, and it will feature Suzy Aspell, who we're going to hear in just about halfway through the second half. Hi, Sue. Sue or Suzy?
It's Suzy, but I can't change my name on this one.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine. And the 1st of July, and we've got Lucy, I want to pronounce this right, Hoschen. She sounds great. So those are the next two, 3rd of June, 1st of July. Get those into your diaries. And remember to put any links to your books or events that you've got that we might want to go to, no matter where they are in the country. Some of us have a car, we'll travel, got a tent, got everything I need for a little cheeky road trip. Speaking of which, that prompts me to read from this first collection. It's not a collection, it's a pamphlet. And I thought I'd never get published again, so I thought, why not stick the face on it, as you do? And then I did, so then I stuck my best mate on my second one. So this one's called Just in Case. The car's packed to the rafters, weighed down to snail's pace. I've everything I'll ever need, you know, just in case. You never know who you might meet when popping out for tea. I'd rather carry my life around. I won't be caught short, no, not me. Toothbrush and clean knickers, essentials. I'd argue other items too. I've loaded the car with suitcases ready for when I bump into you. Now, the sniggers haven't gone unnoticed. Feel free to take the piss, but when my future life partner strolls by, the opportunity I won't miss. I've a bulging bag of face creams, a plethora of hair products to binge. Now, did I mention that I love stroking hair? Will you let me touch your... Several bags of toiletries, gym shams, sexy knick-knocks, a foot charge so we can spend all day watching TikToks. Flat back cardboard, because everything has got its place. A blanket on the back seat, it's all packed up just in case. A dog lead and a check shirt, Sue Perkins' autobiography. A tall box with thingies in it and a KD Lang CD. A neatly wickered hamper for picnics on the green. 4 cans of lager and a multi-pack of kombucha for when we're living clean. Yes, I've even packed the kitchen sink and filled my flask with tea. Something for every occasion, just in case you're into me. A pair of muddy Dr. Martens, thick woolly jumper blue. Might need to upgrade to a camper van to fit you in there too. And yeah, I realise it's a bit OTT. And well, you should see your face when I show you what's inside my trunk. I've packed it all, just in case. Thank you. Right. Who is reading first? Veronica-Mae, you are up first.
I still can't drive these things. Hello. I'm all new to this, so I'm feeling my way dreadfully. But I'll explain that in 2015, the village of Wapley in Gloucestershire, some of you may know it, had a big event for Agincourt 600 because Henry V's standard bearer, Sir John Codrington, is buried in their church. And I wrote this in celebration. Why stand these men beside this ancient tomb, their faces solemn and their heads bowed down, while words from Shakespeare echo in the gloom? By tomb caparisoned in cloth of red in honour of Sir John, who served his king, they stand in silent tribute to the dead. At Wapley, in old Gloucester's famous shire, as we in solemn process gather here, the bell tolls from St. Peter's ancient spire. People of every age and every sort, from every place, upon St. Crispin's Day are come to think and speak of Agincourt. Now, in this day, 600 years ago, upon a foreign field with beating hearts, King Henry and his army met the foe. The doughty archers let their fire arrows fly, from sturdy bows of yew their shafts were sent, so thick, 'tis said, they seemed to dark the sky. The royal banner waved above the fray, in Codrington's brave hands it fluttered forth, and many a noble deed was done that day. Oh, may we not forget, as years go by, Warwick and Bedford, Talbot and their kin, fighting for Henry 'neath a leaden sky. The choral voices rise to heaven once more. Our children hear this tale of yesteryear, as we muse on the deeds of Azincourt.
Thanks, Veronica-Mae. What a great way to start the second half. Okay. Remember that you can use the chat to share the love and your feedback and all the lovely things that you might want to say, and to interact with each other throughout here, the whole event. So next up is Naomi.
Hello. I'm going to read a very cheerful poem, Goblin Combe. There, at the foot of the limestone crag, I found the doe stumbling with both her front legs snapped. And who could help but gasp? We shared a panicked glance as she began to drag her load back up the slope. Up, the only route she knew, as her forelegs windmilled on hinges of skin, breaking as she went the necks of bluebells, which buckled and ceased their nodding. The poor creature must have leapt by mistake off the cliff. Somewhere above, a buzzard circled, casting its net of shadow. Soon. I see her still scaling the hillside, on her elbows all day and utterly haggard, waiting for that instinct we reserve exclusively for beasts. A gun. For God's sake, somebody fetch a gun. Thank you.
Thanks, Naomi. If you look in the chat, Kate's just put that Naomi, you're 1/3 of, is it Braid? Poetry Performance Group. That sounds great. There's a link to the website there as well. So go and check it out. You can see about her and Kate there. Next up is Lou.
Hi there. So I've got a couple of short poems. I don't think I've read this one before, so I apologise if I have. I don't think so. Okay, so I frequently walk my dogs through a graveyard to avoid a busy road, and you have to walk through a great big heavy iron gate to get into the graveyard. And it's so heavy, it feels like you're pushing against the weight of history. And I wrote this, it's called The Gate. A worn and creaking servant heaving in and breathing out, ushering in the cold chill that weeping mourners flout. Uttering a weary sigh and stuck lazily ajar, 200 years of back and forth, fresh heel marks in the tar. The dull grind of centuries has dragged its shoulders down, a heavy brow hanging low conceals a weary frown. Follow the path where the wailing mourners trod, as another frigid sinner prepares to meet their God. Scores of cold hands have slid back the bolt, now lay fidgeting in their graves, woken by its clumsy jolt. Tired arms of coffin bearers, leaning their shoulders in to prise the gate to heaven open as a widow dries her eyes. Etching in the cold slab, he leans against the gate. As you shake the hands of those you love, the bored stonemason waits. There we go. A little bit morbid, but thinking about death helps us live a better life, I think. So this next one is quite an old one, actually, but listening to Veronica and her 600-year-old poem. So this is... I've just moved to Stowe about 2 years ago, and I didn't know anything about the Stowe Fair, but it was first granted a charter here in 1460, so and the tradition has continued ever since. And I was walking through Stowe, and two quite young men came clattering through the street without on horses, without saddles, just with a bit of cloth to sit on. And they were completely oblivious to everything going on around them. And the noise of their horses just filled the street. And I wrote this, it's called Two Horsemen. Your eyes locked together. I stared as you rode by. separated by 600 years. To steady the horse, you gripped your thigh. Unfurling freedom in your hands, I breathed it in. Its notes sang high. I shuddered at my ignorance. Steadying the horse, you stumbled by. I always thought that I was free. I hadn't known that you were there. Your energy tightened like a chill, fingers tangling in my hair. We didn't listen to what you said. You paid no attention to our words. There's nothing that we together shared. No warm greetings would be heard. Yet you shook me to the core with no one near to hear me sigh. Just scraping hooves, scuffed and slipped. To steady the horse, you gripped your thigh. Dark shadows swiftly distant. I can't move, my throat is dry. I choked on your indifference, steadying your horse as you passed by. There you go, that's that.
Thanks, Lou. Sue Finch, you're up next.
Thank you very much. So I brought my poem about a giraffe in a hole. It's called Rescuing the Giraffe. I count the tangled legs, make it 6. One head, so I count again. This time I make it a knotted 4. Its eyes are fixed on mine, as if I was its mother. But how do you retrieve a giraffe from an earthquake crack? And then what do you do with it? The trees are bare, and I feel unqualified for this emergency act. I'm sure its skin will feel like suede, and those hot chocolate eyes implore. You are a poet, you owe me this, it says. So I sit on the edge, reach down my hands, pat its gentle rump. It's all muscle under that thin, soft skin. I stroke tentatively. Don't bite me, I say, and the giraffe is offended. Okay, what I mean is, it might be uncomfortable while I sort out your legs. It barely makes a sound as I work. Released feet scrabble to find their place on the jagged sides of the hole. It is ready for the haul. My arms cradle its stomach, leaving the legs to dangle, and I have him rising. He is unsteady as the day he was born, skidding like a skater on their first rink. But finally he is up, shaking off confusion, and I am seeing the size of our shadows. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Jason, you've snuck yourself into the old running order there. So here we are, Jason Conway.
Thank you very much. Just one to share tonight about a beautiful small island off the west coast of Scotland. This is called Listen to That Yonder. Along an unkempt path I wander, passing gnarled bushes, arched by harsh winds, lepers longing for touch, a sun that seldom visits, echoes of slate dwellings, long abandoned for progress, jigsaw this land of scales. Hints of heather vie with spindrift, tears are dragged from eyes. I am a stranger, trespassing in a wild place, ravaged by spirit beasts that buffet and slash in contempt of life. Beauty clutches here, weaves between sleeping rocks, hugs crags, questions fissures. It blooms towards the heavens, defies elementals. Thistle, bird's foot, spoonwort, bramble. As flesh thaws and fingers search for connection, in the lone bar in Elenabike, I ponder why life persists at the edges, praying for heat. Like the flowers of Easdale Island and its burdened briar, I too have dogged roots. Let no man nor myth deny my search for truth. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Always lovely to hear your poetry. And next up, we have Suzy Aspell, who we're going to, oh, I've lost my bit of paper now. That's it. It's retired. Who we're going to hear on the 3rd of June. So let's have a little taster now. Suzy, over to you.
Okay, I've got something new that I've written, and then I'm going to read 2 from my book. So I'm looking out of my window and I've got 3 oak trees on a green, and I'm constantly surrounded by birds in spring. So here we go. Flock of feathers, flock of geese, flight and arrow of longing, returning to the flock, a feeding, a lifting to the sonnet of sky. Grubbing on ground, flock of birds foraging, nuts, fruit, seeds and grain, earth. A cloud of sky flocked with birds, bats, insect, butterflies, emergence in pristine blue. All eyes flocked. Flock of butterflies kissing the wind, pansy wings a yearning. Alighting on ground, flock of feathers, flock of geese, returning, filling the well, nature's calendar. So I'm going to read another spring poem from my book, which I used to have blackbirds nesting 4 or 5 years in a row. And unfortunately, we lost all of them last year. So they've decided to move. They've gone into the front garden this year instead of the back. Hopefully, we'll manage to get all of them out this year. Inside a blackbird's heart, the remembered face, the one who rushes out of bed in a tangle to find slippers for cold feet, dangling backdoor keys to screech and clap hands at the marauding magpie. She hears your dick, 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 dick at 5 in the morning, godmother of your unborn chicks. Old nest, hidden in the sprawling, monstrous Montana, entwined in pink cistus, winter jasmine and honeysuckle. Strawberries and raspberries, a race to pick or peck the plump, juicy fruit. Victory, usually. Saggy, ancient bagpuss lingers no longer, balefully cat-loafing under your bush. Lithe, mottled kitten, your old nest lies empty. Your godmother misses your machine gun salvos, takes heart knowing you're nearby, roosting in the neighbourhood. And I'm going to end up with an eco poem. It's called Planet Topography. This earth of green, patchwork of moons and crop circles, navigate fields, cities, countries, follow the wind-riven fingerprint whirl of humanity upon which we live. For better or worse, beauty stabbed, gouged by light, and so much darkness, a palimpsest of tragedy. Each war a world of pain, and though we emerge as pupae shedding form, fly as butterfly or moth, we cannot impress deep enough the pain to prevent madness from happening again. We cannot breathe enough green to stop our veins bleeding out. And that's the end of my set. Thank you so much for listening to me and allowing me the space to read. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzy. We're all looking forward to hearing you in June. When is it? 3rd of June. Okay, I'm here. So hopefully I'll be sat in the audience just enjoying everybody reading. So next up, Ed Poetastic.
Thank you so much for being so poetastic and bombastic, enthusiastic. Hello, everyone. My name is Ed Poetastic, feeling fantastic. Please, in time, you could draw my rhyme. Five sublime. I got one poem. Sorry to take too much time. This is called Triangulation. What comes around goes around. A domino effect. Every action reflects. You spread the happiness, you uphold the bliss. You spread the curse, you uphold the worst. The universal cycle, own your title. People understand their roles in this land. Yes, I'm talking to you. Please don't stay blue. I appreciate you. Keep pushing through. I don't do anything. You're not listening. We all need you. It's true. Yes, true like blue. Every ant is needed. Don't be conceited. You have a purpose. Let it wire your circuits. Be humble. Don't mumble. You make someone's day. Help us feel okay. Show off your gift. Give our lows a shift. If you ask, but why or how, just think, then say, wow. You are the moon and the sun. You are the fun and one. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ed. Bringing some rhythm to the room. Love it. Next up, Robert. Where's my friend Robert? In the audience somewhere.
I'm here. Right. Can you hear me?
We can, yep.
Right, this is a poem I read, the short version at Cheltenham Festival, and this is the longer version. It's called A Cheltenham Education. I went to college in the beautiful town of Cheltenham, where I got a real education, a rude awakening. Cheltenham Spa is famous for healing waters. It is not water I discovered there, but strong booze. In college, I rarely entered the classroom, never picked up a pen. My education was not academic, but spirited. My glass was filled to the brim, often spilling over. I went from tipple to glass, to bottle to barrel, ending up in bed. This became a daily dirge, an endless routine to ruin. Days flowed into weeks, weeks flowed into months, months flowed into years, passing into a drunken haze of nothingness. I never experienced hangovers, for I was never sober. That time passed, me in an alcoholic fog. It was a wonder my liver was not permanently pickled. That young wheelchair user rapidly learned what it meant to be permanently legless during those hazy, lazy days. I met some people during my time who would become lifelong friends. Some lives are long, some lives are short, but all lives are important. Some friendships are long, some friendships are short, but all friendships are intense. I remember many of my names from those days. I have forgotten many of my friends' names from those days. That itself is a sobering thought. One name and one man I will never forget, Foxley. He left me years ago physically on this planet, yet his spirit still remains over me, shielding me, protecting me. If you look closely, his sly eyes peer over my shoulder, eyeing us. I long ago kicked up the drinking habit, the demon booze, so it is nice to revisit Cheltenham, see it through sober eyes and a clear mind. Thank you.
Robert, thanks for sharing that. As I saw you read the first bit, the shorter bit, when we were in Cheltenham, didn't you? So it's nice to hear the whole poem. I've been looking forward to that. Thanks. Right, Gareth. Do we have Gareth? Gareth Barsby.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, let me just bring up my poem. Come on. Where is it?
Gareth, you're a bit sound is a bit strange.
Oh, sorry, yes. Oh, here's my poem. It's called A Demon at the Seaside. From my point of view of a demon. I don't really like the beaches, where solely the seagulls screech. They say it's hot where I've felt hotter, and you never see a rancid rotter. Beg forgiveness for their sins, and the sea I won't be stepping in. The white sparkle turns my eyes. When I look, I realize I didn't need a holiday, but I like making sinners pay. Obviously, I have to get another one. Here's one called The Clown, which contains references to war, death, corpses, and conservatives. The clowns are given too much applause after all the trouble they cause. They're throwing soldiers into tiny cars, winding them up and sending them far, pulling whatever tricks they can, so their routine goes off with a bang. They expect the audience to be ready to laugh at the corpses and coat them in confetti. And I'll bring up a link to my blog on the chat.
Thank you, Gareth. Enjoyed that. It was a little bit difficult to hear you, but we could hear. I really enjoyed. I'm sure everybody else did too. Well, we've got one more poet this evening. Leaving the best to last, as they say in the Bicester advert. But just before that, just remind you, next one, 3rd of June, and then we've got one on the 1st of July. I'll get shot if I don't give Ledbury Poetry Festival a plugs too. Sorry, Jason. That's on the 25th of June till was it like 6th of July? And that's going to be a really great program. They've also embraced Verve Poetry Festival, who unfortunately aren't running this year, but they've been given a whole day of the Ledbury Poetry Festival program, and there's some great events from Verve in that, and I'm in it as well with Laurie Bolger, which is really exciting. So come along to Ledbury if you can make it. It's the last Sunday of the festival. It'd be lovely to see some of you there. I'll be there all week, reading poetry, probably getting drunk and having a good time, and it'd be great to see some of you there. Anyway, last but not least, Clive Oseman.
Hello. Right, okay, so as you can probably guess, it's going to be a bit different. I've got two. The first one, the second one's a lot shorter than the first, but the first one is one of my infamous emails. I got an email from somebody calling themselves Natalie Website Builder, asking if I would like to avail myself of their services to improve my website. So, of course, I replied, and it went like this. Dear Natalie Website Builder, I received your email asking me if I would like you to improve my website. And for the love of dog, you must be psychic. At the very moment the email plopped into my inbox, I was sitting on the toilet having a relaxing shit thinking, I would really like Natalie the Website Builder person to give my website a good going over. At the moment, as you no doubt saw when perusing the site in your high-tech digiblaster, it is currently very basic. I am a bit of a Luddite when it comes to websites and the like. I don't know my arms from my elbow. I never understood that saying. Surely your elbows are an integral part of your arms. Stupid. Anyway, what do I want from my website? I want it to smell of roses on a summer day and pig shit on a winter's day, because if I feel gloomy, I want every other fucker to feel the same. I want it to be soothing colours with a deafening noise. I like contrasts. Most of all, I want it to grab scammers by the scruff of the neck and drag them through the screen and into the bowels of Donald Trump, where they will be forced to listen to their where they will be forced to listen to the restless ghosts of his ancestors playing the bagpipes. I wanted to play the pipes of peace, love, and understanding. I wanted to rise up and smash the system. I wanted to squirt liquid gold at people who can't spell. It is so good of you to offer to do this for me. Most people do nothing free of charge in this capitalist hellhole. You are wonderful. I love you. Will you marry me? And I did actually send that, but I never got a reply, needless to say. And talking about I love you, my second one is very different for me. It's a love poem. But it's a absurdist love poem. It's called True Love. I love you. Like I love the celebrity toenail clippings rescued with only minor damage from the Great Fire at the Foot Museum in 1997. You have the alluring aroma of rusty iron, a sandwich of sweaty candy floss bread, Unique as a talking broomhead with amusing tales of debauchery in the broom cupboard. Like Boris Becker at an after-dinner speech. Most of all, I love your voice, reminiscent of my grandmother snoring as she sleeps the day away in the kitchen sink. Deafening, but somehow gentle, like medicine for mild constipation bought over the counter at the local pharmacy. You are my favourite biscuit, dunked in a caramel latte first thing in the morning. A set of dentures no one can tell from the real thing. You are everything that is perfect in this crazy world, and more. Thank you very much. And that's me done, as I should be.
Thanks, Clive. What a great way to finish. So we can enjoy the rest of our Wednesdays giggling about that. And also, I want a cup of tea and a biscuit now. I don't know about you. So thank you very much. Thanks to everyone who read tonight. Thanks to Jason. And thank you to Kate. And I hope
to you, Emma, hosting brilliantly again. Thank you.
And see you soon.